Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, let me speak to your hearts today. I come to you not with the thunder of the world's wisdom, nor with the glitter of modern success stories, but with something far richer, something tested through the fire of decades, through tears and laughter, through heartbreak and healing. It comes not from a book of theory, but from the life of a 92-year-old woman who has walked the dusty roads of life, held babies in her arms, buried loved ones in the cold ground, prayed through the night, and smiled in the morning. She's seen the world change 1,000 times over, but her wisdom has only grown deeper, not faded. She leaned in and said it in a whisper, like someone letting you in on a holy secret. She said, "That's a fact. Few men know this." And I asked her, "What is it, ma'am?" And with eyes that had seen too much to lie, she said, "Life is not about having everything, but about knowing what to hold on to and what to let go." Now listen to me, friends. That may sound simple, but it's the kind of truth that can turn a life around. We chase after so much. We build careers like castles. We fill our closets. We chase pleasure, success, likes on a screen. But we don't ask ourselves, will this matter when I'm 92? She said, "You don't really own anything in this world except the love you give and the peace you carry in your heart." That's not just good advice. That's holy ground. She told me something else that struck me deep. She said, "You cannot live this life right if you are always angry, always needing to be right." So many people die with hard hearts, and they don't even know it. And I tell you, friends, it's not the enemies on the outside that destroy us. It's the bitterness we let grow inside. Forgive quickly. Ask for forgiveness humbly. Don't let pride rob you of joy. That's a fact. Few men know this. This precious woman looked me square in the eye and said, "Happiness never knocked on my door. I had to go out and find it, even on days I didn't want to get out of bed." And isn't that just the truth? We wait around for perfect days, perfect people, perfect circumstances. But she said the secret was in showing up with love in your heart and purpose in your step, even when you don't feel like it. You plant joy, she said, and maybe it'll bloom tomorrow or the next year or in your grandchildren, but plant it anyway. She told me she watched people she loved pass from this life. She said some of them left bitter, afraid, or alone. But the ones who had peace were the ones who had lived with purpose. She said the most joyful people I knew weren't the ones who had the easiest lives. They were the ones who knew how to turn their pain into prayer. My friend, do you know how to do that? Do you know how to cry out when the night is long and the heart is heavy? She did. And because of it, she never lost hope. Let me tell you what else she said, because this will change your life if you let it. She said, "Be kind and do it often. Don't wait for applause. Don't keep score. Just be kind. It's the one investment that never goes bankrupt." That's something we all need to hear in a world that moves too fast, where people forget your name, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That's a fact. Few men know this. She smiled as she said her last bit of wisdom. Love your people while you have them. Call them. Sit with them. Put the phone down and look them in the eyes. They won't be here forever, and neither will you. And I felt something stir in me, because in the end, it's not about who wins the race, but who you walk beside. The trophies gather dust, but the love lives on. So I ask you today, what are you chasing? What are you holding on to that's weighing you down? Who have you stopped forgiving? Who have you stopped loving? What purpose have you been putting off, saying someday? Friend, let me tell you, someday is a lie. All you have is today. And if a 92-year-old woman can say life is beautiful when you live it with grace, then maybe it's time we listen, walk humbly, love deeply, speak kindly, forgive quickly, and live knowing that the measure of a life isn't in what we take, but what we give. That's a fact. Few men know this, but now you do. Amen. Hold on to love. Let go of what weighs you down. That sounds simple, doesn't it? But it is one of the most profound truths a person can live by. In the end, love is the only thing we truly carry with us. Not the money, not the titles, not the achievements. It's the love we gave, the love we received, the love we kept alive through the storms. And yet we often let it slip through our fingers while we hold tightly to things that serve us no good. Grudges, pride, regret, anger, and fear. Those are the weights. They slow us down, cloud our vision, and harden our hearts. And if we're not careful, they will become the things we cling to, while love slips quietly out the door. There was a quiet strength in that elderly woman's words as she said it. She had loved people who hurt her. She had watched relationships fall apart, not because love failed, but because egos got in the way. And with the kind of clarity only time can bring, she said, love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just staying when it's easier to leave, forgiving when you have every reason not to, and showing up even when your heart is tired. That's what it means to hold on to love. But to hold on, you must also make room. That means letting go of what doesn't belong. Letting go isn't weakness. It takes courage to release the pain that has become part of your identity. It takes faith to walk away from what's familiar, even when it hurts you. Some people carry around bitterness like a badge, thinking it gives them strength. But it doesn't. It poisons every part of life, turning moments of joy into memories of pain. That's why she said, don't carry what you weren't meant to keep. We live in a world that tells us to prove ourselves, to win every argument, to never back down. But love doesn't operate by those rules. Love says you first. Love listens more than it speaks. Love gives without counting. And that's the love worth holding on to. That's the love that outlives us. Think about it. What would your life look like if you held tighter to love than to resentment? What would change if you chose compassion over the need to be right? How many relationships would be saved if we let go of pride just long enough to say, I was wrong and I'm sorry? Those aren't weak words. Those are brave words. Those are healing words. Holding on to love means choosing peace over control, connection over comfort, humility over vindication. It means softening your heart when the world tells you to harden it. It means trusting that love, even when it costs you something, gives back far more. Bitterness robs peace. Choose forgiveness. It doesn't happen all at once. Bitterness doesn't come crashing in like a storm. It creeps in like a shadow. It starts with a wound, a word, a betrayal, something you didn't deserve. And if that wound isn't healed, it becomes a scar that speaks every day, whispering, they did this to you. Over time, that whisper becomes louder and you start to carry it like armor, thinking it protects you. But it doesn't protect you. It poisons you. It turns your joy into suspicion, your kindness into guardedness, and your heart into stone. The elderly woman with eyes full of memories said, you can't carry bitterness and peace in the same heart. One will always push the other out. And she was right. Peace isn't loud. It's quiet, gentle, a whisper in the soul that says, you're okay now, you can rest. But bitterness doesn't let you rest. It keeps you awake, replaying conversations, rehearsing pain, reliving what should have gone differently. It makes you a prisoner in your own mind. And here's the truth that most people learn too late. The person you're angry at is sleeping just fine. The bitterness is only breaking you. Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay. It isn't pretending you weren't hurt. It's saying, I will not let this pain own me anymore. That's power. That's healing. Forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a choice. A hard, holy, deliberate choice. Some wounds are deep. Yes, some people never apologized. But even if they never say sorry, you can still choose to be free. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's the key that unlocks the door to your peace. The woman told a story about a friend who carried a grudge for over 30 years. She couldn't even remember all the details of what went wrong, only that she was angry, and that anger had made her bitter, sharp, lonely. She said that grudge outlived the friendship, and it cost her more than she ever realized. Holding on to pain costs you. It costs you time, relationships, joy, and even your health. Letting go may feel impossible, but the burden is heavier when you don't. Bitterness will convince you that you're strong because you don't let people in. But that's not strength. Real strength is being able to look at someone who hurts you and still choose to move forward in peace. Real strength is praying for someone you once cried over. Real strength is laying down your right to get even and trusting that your healing matters more than their apology. Peace begins when you decide you no longer want to be defined by what hurt you. You begin to heal when you stop picking at the wound and start trusting that your heart can be whole again. Forgiveness is a slow road sometimes, and that's okay. But it is a road that leads to freedom. And bitterness, it leads nowhere. Joy is planted, not stumbled upon. Most people spend their lives chasing joy like it's a prize hidden somewhere out there, waiting in the next job, the next relationship, the next vacation. But joy doesn't work like that. It's not something we find on the outside. It's something we grow from the inside, and like anything worth growing, it takes time, care, and intention. The elderly woman who lived through nearly a century of change didn't speak about joy like it was luck. She spoke of it like it was discipline. She said, "I didn't wake up every day feeling joyful, but I chose to find something to smile about." That's the kind of wisdom that doesn't come from easy days. It comes from waking up to a world that didn't always make sense and still saying, "Today I will look for the light." Joy isn't loud. It's not always laughter or celebration. Sometimes it's sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, feeling thankful you're still here. It's hearing a child's voice, watching the sunrise, or remembering that somehow, in spite of everything, your heart still has room to love. That kind of joy doesn't demand attention. It just lives steady and deep, like roots beneath the surface. To plant joy, you must first clear the ground. That means letting go of envy, comparison, and the lie that you have to be more to be happy. Joy doesn't come from having what someone else has. It comes from being grateful for what you already do. The woman said, "I used to wish for more until I started thanking God for what I had." That's when everything changed. Gratitude is the soil where joy grows. Without it, nothing good can take root. She also said that planting joy meant choosing kindness when it wasn't returned, offering love when it wasn't deserved, and smiling even when the world was heavy. She wasn't pretending. She was planting. Because the seeds you plant today become the harvest you live in tomorrow. And even if the joy doesn't bloom right away, it will come. In its own time, in its own way, like spring after a long winter. There were days, she said, when sorrow sat beside her like an old friend. Loss, disappointment, loneliness, they visited her often. But she didn't let them take over the garden. She cried when she needed to, but she also baked bread, wrote letters, helped a neighbor, picked flowers. These small acts were seeds of joy. They didn't erase the sorrow, but they grew alongside it. That's the secret people often miss. Joy and sorrow can coexist. And in fact, the people who know sorrow the deepest often carry the richest joy because they've learned how to treasure it. If you want joy, don't wait to feel it. Plant it in how you speak, how you treat others, how you show up in the world. It's not something you wait for. It's something you choose, something you nurture, something you grow. Kindness is the greatest investment. That's not just a nice phrase. It's a truth proven time and time again by those who have lived long enough to see what really lasts. The world teaches us to invest in wealth and status and influence. And while those things may bring comfort, they rarely bring meaning. But kindness, pure, unmeasured, unearned kindness, is a currency that never loses value. It pays dividends in hearts healed, burdens lifted, lives touched, and legacies remembered. The elderly woman with nearly a century of wisdom behind her didn't speak of grand accomplishments when she looked back on her life. She didn't talk about money or possessions. She talked about the people she helped, the strangers she showed mercy to, the quiet ways she tried to make someone's day better. She said, "Kindness is never wasted. Sometimes it comes back to you in a way you didn't expect, and sometimes it doesn't come back at all. But it always leaves something good behind." It doesn't cost much to be kind. A moment of your time, a gentle word, a small act, but its impact is often immeasurable. Kindness can interrupt a storm in someone's life. It can be the reason they try again, the reason they don't give up, the reason they believe not everyone in the world is cold. You never know what battle someone is fighting, what grief they're hiding, what fear they're carrying. But when you choose kindness, you become a light in their darkness, even if only for a moment. She spoke about how the world has changed. Things move faster now. People are more distracted, more divided, more suspicious of each other. But she said, kindness still works. She told a story of being in line at a grocery store in her 80s, and the young man behind her paid for her items without saying a word. She said she cried in the car, not because of the money, but because someone noticed her. Kindness, she said, is the act of seeing people when the world has forgotten them. Kindness doesn't always come easy. It's not always convenient. It takes effort, especially when you're tired, frustrated, or hurt. But that's when it matters most. Anyone can be kind when life is easy, but kindness shown in difficulty, that's sacred. It's a choice to rise above, to give when you have every reason not to reflect the kind of love that changes the world one act at a time. The woman also reminded that kindness is not weakness. It takes strength to be gentle in a harsh world. It takes courage to respond with grace when others choose anger. And it takes humility to serve without expecting anything in return. But those are the investments that matter, the ones that touch souls and live far beyond our years. She believed that in the end, people won't remember everything you said or did, but they will remember how you made them feel. When you invest in kindness, you are building something eternal in the hearts of others. Cherish your people. Time is not promised. It's a truth we know deep down, but too often ignore in the noise and rush of daily life. We assume we'll always have tomorrow, that there will be time later to say the words we keep putting off, to mend what's broken, to sit down and be present. But life has a way of reminding us gently or suddenly that time is a gift, not a guarantee. The elderly woman, full of years and reflection, didn't speak about time like something you manage. She spoke about it like something sacred. She said, the hardest part of growing old isn't the body breaking down, it's outliving the people you love. Her voice trembled when she said it, not from weakness, but from the weight of memory. She had learned what matters most isn't what you accumulate, but who you walk through life with. She said if she could go back, she wouldn't work more, worry more, or try to impress anyone. She would just sit longer with the people she loved, listen more, hug tighter, say I love you without waiting for the perfect moment. We often treat time with loved ones like it's just another thing on the calendar, but it's not. Every moment is a seed, and what you plant today will become the memories that carry someone through a dark night later. The woman talked about her husband who passed 30 years ago. She said she could still hear his laugh, still remember the sound of his boots on the porch. She didn't treasure their house or their possessions. She treasured the quiet evenings, the simple meals, the long talks. Those were the riches of her life. She warned not to let petty arguments steal your peace, not to let pride keep you from reaching out. She said, I've seen people wait too long to say sorry, and then it's too late. Don't do that. Don't let silence grow where love should be. Relationships are fragile. They're also the most powerful thing we'll ever be part of. Cherishing your people means being intentional. It means putting down the phone, turning off the television, slowing down long enough to truly see the person in front of you. She also said not everyone stays forever, and that's what makes it all so precious. Children grow up and move away. Friends take different paths. Parents grow old. The people around your table today may not be there next year. That's not said to cause fear. It's said to stir urgency, to remind us that the most important thing we can do with our time is spend it with those we love. Not just being near them, but being with them. Heart, soul, and attention. She believed love wasn't just a feeling, it was an action shown in small, consistent ways. A phone call, a handwritten note, a warm meal, a quiet presence. Those are the ways we say, you matter, I see you, I'm here. When we cherish our people, we're not just building connection, we're building eternity into the ordinary. If there's one thing we must take to heart from the voice of a 92-year-old woman, It's that life is fragile, yet beautiful. Simple, yet profound. Everything she shared wasn't written in a book or taught in a school. It was earned through living, through loving, through loss, and through learning to keep going, even when everything around her said stop. These truths didn't come from perfection or ease, but from paying attention. She watched people rise and fall. She buried friends and family. She loved deeply, made mistakes, and found grace again and again. And in all of it, she discovered what many people never figure out: what truly matters. In a world chasing the next big thing, she offers a still, small voice of wisdom, a reminder that it's not what you build on the outside, but what you nurture on the inside that defines you. That love, kindness, forgiveness, joy, and presence are not weaknesses. They are the foundation of a life well lived. She didn't say to avoid pain. She didn't say to stay comfortable. She said to live, to feel, to give your heart to the things that last and not to waste your years in fear, regret, or resentment. She said, people are walking around every day waiting to be seen, to be loved, to be reminded that they matter. And most of us could be that reminder if we just slowed down, if we just chose to forgive, if we made the call, said the words, gave the hug, let the little things go. She lived long enough to know that the chance doesn't always come around twice. That one moment of grace can echo through a lifetime. That a small act of love can soften a hardened heart. That time runs out not someday, but often, when we least expect it. This kind of wisdom doesn't come dressed in glamour or dressed up with fancy words. It comes with a gentle tone, with soft eyes and a quiet strength. It comes from someone who's had their heart broken, but still believes in beauty. Someone who has buried people they loved and still chooses to smile. Someone who has seen the worst of the world and still believes in the good. That's not just advice, that's legacy. And it's meant to be carried on. So now the question isn't just what did she say? The question is, what will you do with it? Will you keep chasing the wind, or will you plant something real? Will you hold grudges or offer grace? Will you hurry past your loved ones or make space to truly see them? Will you speak with harshness or with kindness? Will you let joy grow in your soul even on hard days? The answers won't be found in what you own or what title you carry. They'll be found in how you love, how you forgive, how you show up. That's the kind of wisdom that doesn't fade with time. That's the kind of truth that lives on long after we're gone. And that, dear friends, is a fact.